Good evening, folks. Continue to finish your meal and enjoy your dessert while you are getting the plates picked up and everything. We thought we'd get the program going and do some housekeeping announcements. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the American Banjo Museum and the banjo lovers from around literally the world who have been here tonight, welcome to Oklahoma City and Banjo Fest 2025. Thank you. This is a love fest that we do every year. Some of you have been here before, and you know it kind of feels like a family reunion tonight. And for some of you who this is your first time here, we really welcome you. This is a leap of faith to get to Oklahoma City, and we know that. But you're here for all the right reasons because we all love the banjo, and we are so delighted you're here. So let's get things rolling. My name is Johnny Beyer. I am, for a brief period of time, the Executive Director of the American Banjo Museum, which has been my, thank you. It has been my pleasure and honor to be in that role for a long, long time. And some of you who thought I was retiring this year and offered congratulations, come back next year. Because I am going to be hanging around to get the transition complete, find the different people. We actually have found them. We've got a wonderful staff. Doug will tell you more about that later, and our plans to go forward. But I'm so honored to be with you tonight, our banjo family. Welcome to you all. Now, the housekeeping stuff, we do this while you're still eating because the important stuff comes a little bit later. But we do want to welcome and thank all of our sponsors. Now, I have to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, the sponsors are written in red, and the light is blue, and red is really hard to see up here. So I'm going to, let me change it. I can see right now. We have sponsors here who make this evening happen, make many things happen, but tonight especially. And we would like to thank them. Devin and Gail Tower. Devin is not here tonight, Devin and Gail. Devin was a board member of ours. He made a strong commitment to keep this thing going. And even though he's not here, he's here in spirit and in his checkbook. We want to thank Paul. And Teresa Poirier. Where are you guys? I think right down in front here. Thank you, Paul. Also want to thank the family of Sandy Singleton. I know you're out there. Make a little bit of noise so I know where you're at. Thank you, guys. Sandy was really the reason I'm here, one of the main reasons I'm here, and I'm so close with that family. It's like brothers and sisters to us. So welcome to you guys, and thank you again. Not here tonight, Lester and Leanne Cowden. Lester is our vice president, fighting the hardest fight of his life right now. But they're here in spirit. Also want to thank, I see Chris Brocker out here. Chris is from the Peninsula Banjo Band. Chris is a sponsor. That is the Peninsula Banjo Band. And then we get into some of the businesses that make things happen. Doug Parsons, our board president, also PBS Services is his business. Thank you, Doug, for sponsoring us tonight. Yeah. Not too much. He's going to be talking later. We want to thank Oklahoma News Channel 4. If you know Lucas Ross, who's part of our staff, Lucas is part of the Oklahoma Channel 4 team that helped us promote this weekend. But they are a sponsor for us tonight. Graphtech Communications, the people who printed the beautiful program you saw. The Oklahoma City Convention and Visitors Bureau. Is Mark Bennett here? Did I see Mark? Where? Make some noise, Mark. Mark? Yeah, I'm sorry, we would have given you a better table if we knew you were sponsoring us. Mark is part of Perry Dunn Attorneys. They help us through some of the sticklish situations you can get into. There's a lot of attorney jokes. There's a lot of banjo jokes. But when banjo players need attorneys, we don't make jokes. Right, Alan? Thank you. And speaking of Alan, Alan Tompkins, another attorney and a board member, one of our sponsors tonight. Thank you, Alan. This evening would not be complete without music. To get things started, we over during the cocktail hour, we had Ron Hinkle. Ron, where are you? I know you played to say Ron. Say hi to Ron. Ron is Ron's father is also a member of our Hall of Fame, in case we don't mention that later, Myron Hinkle. So welcome, Ron. And then two of my friends from Orlando who we kind of coax over here to set the mood, both Disney associates and from Church Street Station, and some people who made some real musical history, especially with the banjo in Orlando, Randy Morris and Lee Floyd. I don't know, you think they're right down here. And as a very proud papa, for those of you who weren't aware of it, the string quartet, they weren't playing banjos, by the way. The string quartet tonight was led by my son, Matthew Byer, and who is, in addition to being a fine musician and band leader, and thank you to his quartet, he's a med student. He's doing a MD, PhD program, and he's the difference between a good and a bad nursing home for me. That was humor, folks. All right, we're gonna get on to the business at hand. Tonight we are honoring some of banjo's best from around the world, from many different eras of banjo music and different playing styles. But we have a number of Hall of Fame members who are with us tonight. And no, you don't have to hold your applause. Applaud as you feel. I'm not gonna pretend I'm in front of a bunch of generals and admirals here. I would like you to welcome the Hall of Fame members who are joining us tonight. Lee Floyd from 2012. Debbie Schreier from 2014. Debbie. Scott Whitfield from 2021. Scott, where are you? Randy Morris from 2022. Brad Roth from 2021. And we want to give a special shout out to Kurt Abel. Athens Abel is with us tonight. Athens. Kurt again from 2023. Kurt is fighting the fight, hard fight, with a great spirit. And Kurt, if you're paying attention online, we love you. And before I let Doug take the mic, this will be about the last word I'm going to get in tonight. We are going to welcome this year's honorees. Tonight we are welcoming Dom Flemons. Dom, where are you? Right in front here. The guy who is probably the most nervous in this room, Vinnie Mondello. The British Prime Minister Winston Churchill said, and I'm doing this for him, he said, "A bow tie is only properly tied if it is askew." And I hope you've noticed on his behalf, Sean, I have tied in the Winston Churchill manner for Sean Moises from England. Welcome, Sean. And for those of you who are not, have never met him before, you're in for a musical treat and a very personal guy. He's funny, but you gotta make him funny, I guess. But if you feed him a line, he's right there. But he's one of the, sincerely, one of the most musical, inspiring banjo players I've ever heard in my life. Tonight, Noam Pikelny is being inducted. So, with all of that, let's get the program rolling, and to take it over and welcome some other special guests, please welcome our board president, Doug Parsons.
Your checks will be out any minute now. No, but one thing I do want to say is Johnny forgot a Hall of Fame member, Johnny Byer, 2019. And I also found out something on the way to the event tonight, that one thing that joins us all together is 4-string players and 5-string players, old time, banjo, ukulele. The one thing that we all have in common is no one knows how to tie a damn bow tie, except Johnny Byer and Brad Roth. Where are you at, Brad? Thank you. Brad took care of me. I was just here. Does anybody know how to tie this thing? No, no one knew how to tie. Even Dom Flemings didn't know how to tie it. Johnny's telling me to hurry up. Okay, so I got some things I got to do. So I'd like to introduce the board of directors of the Banjo Museum. All these people do this for countless minutes every year. And no, but they all volunteer their time, their energy, their money, and their effort, and we really should give them a big hand. Debbie Schreier. Debbie? Ellie Burns. Ellie, where are you at? Did you get a good table this year, Ellie? There she is. Paul Poirier. Well, I should tell you, he's from Massachusetts. Brian Newsom from Michigan. Eric Offsprung from Oklahoma City. Alan Tompkins from Dallas, Texas. And Dr. Ron McClellan. Where are you at, Ron? There he is. Or James Bond, as I've been calling him all night. He was drinking martinis and they were stirred. They're from Illinois, and he works out in California, so he gets a lot of airline miles. And Bob Barta, he didn't make the program this year. He's from New York. Justin Givens, who isn't here, he's from Oklahoma City. Gary Biscuit Davis, you don't have to clap for them; they didn't make it. Gary's from Nashville. He's Dolly Parton's banjo player. Danny Rubio from New Orleans. And Lester Cowden, who unfortunately couldn't make it with us, but he's fighting a great battle, and he's, 89 now? He's older than that. Ellie, how old's Lester? He's old. But we definitely want to give mention to Lester because we're all praying for him. This museum and everything that you've seen this weekend and all these things you're about to see couldn't be done without the ABM staff. As Johnny mentioned, that next year he's retiring. And, but Johnny, everything you see in that museum, from the color of the carpet to if there's a finger pin on the glass, to what type of lumens we use on the lights, that's all Johnny Byer. I mean, he has put his heart and soul in that, and that museum would not be there. But there's also other individuals who help us out with that. Margie Smith Robbins. Margie's past Jack Kine winner. There she is. Margie handles our archives, and if you have any free time, just go down in the basement, open the boxes, and take stuff out. She really enjoys it when you do that. Lucas Ross. Where's Lucas at? He's back there. Lucas has been with us for a few years now, and he's really added a lot. He plays 5-string. What some of you may not know is that when you hear Kermit the Frog play the banjo, that's Lucas Ross. He's helping him on the sideline. So, and also, if you haven't seen our Kermit display, come out and see it. Ellie Burns, who helps Johnny out in the administration, and she also helps the board out. And in my mind, one of the better tenor banjo players in the world in history is Tyler Jackson. Tyler's our curator and has done a fantastic job. They're documenting everything. And one of the big projects we've taken on is Johnny knows just about everything about every banjo in that museum, the provenance of it, the history, who owned it, what they did, what song they played in 1927. what gauge strings they used, and him and Tyler are documenting all this thing for future generations. So that's really been a great blessing for us. And our newest member, Brooke Martin. Where are you at, Brooke? Oh, you didn't even get a seat. Yeah. Yeah, next year you get a table. Okay, if you keep doing good. And then we have people that work our desk, our volunteers, Cheryl Mitchell, Stephanie Stemitsky, and Donna Jennings. These are all people that keep that museum going every day. And we also have a couple special volunteers. Bill Elliott, where's Bill at? Bill? You don't want to miss Bill because he's the guy that stands outside the bus with the sign that says bus. So if you don't see that great big bus, look for Bill. And Eric Offsprung, who's also a board member. Eric's also volunteers at the museum quite often. One special thing I wanted to bring up today, and it really warms my heart. As a lot of you know, that Johnny Beyer is retiring next year. And the Singleton family has gone above and beyond and have presented us with a matching grant of up to $20,000 a year for the next 5 years in honor of Johnny. And they're calling it the Here's to Johnny Singleton Family Fund. So what they're challenging everybody to do is that they will match up to $20,000 per year for the next 5 years, so $100,000. And the way we get that money is if you keep supporting the museum. When we call and ask for money, you don't hang up on us like you do now. But no, anything that you can do, become members, help support the museum, help us keep this legacy going. Because, you know, it's nice, but everything costs money, as you all know. And so many people volunteer their time and their effort, and it'd be nice if everybody else can do it and step up, kind of like the Singleton family did. Why don't you guys stand up and I'm not, Johnny, do you know about this? And Sandy, why don't you come up here? Sandy and Amy, why don't you come on up here? And I'd like to present you the check for dinner. Amy, why don't you get that? Come on up and say something. You're a Singleton. You're not lost for words.
I won't quote what my dad used to tell me. Anyway, the banjo's been a big part of the Singleton family life since, we're not sure, we think 62 or 63, when my mom gave my dad his first banjo for Christmas. And he took it pretty seriously, took lessons, tried to learn it. Was always, a banjo museum was always a big part of what he wanted. And Johnny, you've really earned everything. You've made the museum so special. We feel like we're among family whenever we're here. And my brother Tim was unable to be here tonight, but he's part of it too. So we love the museum, we love the staff, we love banjo music, and we want it to move forward into the future despite the loss of the irreplaceable Johnny Beyer. So thank you all.
That's special, isn't it? And, you know, unfortunately, like he was saying, Tim is an accountant, and all the dots and I's were crossed, but, you know, October 15th is the deadline for everybody's taxes that didn't pay them on April 15th, so Tim's really busy. I also have another special guest here, and if a lot of people contribute to the museum, and it's not always money. But sometimes they contribute with their time and their heart's desire and their passion of some of their work. And luckily this year, we were lucky enough to get two of them here. One of them grew up with Eddie Peabody, and one of them is an artist. And a long time, I remember watching him when I was a child, a very young child, Dave, on the Ruth Lyons show and the Bob Brons back when local TV was really, really popular. So if you've seen any of the artwork around the Eddie Peabody, the Georgia Twain, the Don Van Palto, there's quite a bit of artwork done, and that was all done by Dave McCoy. And I'd like to present you with a plaque for your appreciation on that. So come on up here. You too, Jackie. I got you.
Let's Jackie.
Yeah, let me help Jackie. Go and talk.
Well, this is a surprise. I have a little inside story to tell you about Oklahoma City here. Back in January 20th, 1944, I was born right here in Oklahoma City. And when I was 3 months old, my parents moved back to Ohio, their home state, Fairborn, Ohio, which is right next to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And I haven't been back here until now. It's been almost 82 years. I turned 82 years old in January. And this is the first time that Jackie and I have been back to celebrate that, celebrate our friend Sean Moises being inducted here tonight, and also a big thank you to Doug and Johnny and everyone for allowing me the honor of being a servant of the Banjo Museum and doing my heart's desire and presenting you with all this wonderful artwork of our banjo heroes, especially Eddie Peabody and Don Van Palta and Georgetta Twain and all of them. Do you have anything you want to say, honey?
It's possible that that little white jacket down on the lobby is the one that I danced with Eddie when I was 11 years old at the Lookout House. And I was the one that was there when the Lord called him home. And a lot of you know the story, but anyway, we won't get me crying here. But I'd like to accept this, of course, in honor of my dear friend Eddie Peabody and my dad, Jack Hager. Thank you.
That was well deserved. And if you haven't, make sure you look at the artwork and talk to Jackie about her stories of Eddie Peabody. She had quite a few when she was young, and she's got some pictures and stuff and some really good memories. Eddie Peabody was a banjo player, no? He only had 4 strings, though. He was, yes, from Mr. Peabody from the cartoon. Another special thanks goes to Marlo Turner from the OCCF, who manages our money out there. Julia Dives, are you here too? There they are. They make sure we get paid every month. We like them. And Mark Bennett from Perry and Dunn. Mark, they're always out there helping us and supporting us. And John Mumford, where's John at? He's past board member. If you've seen our new exhibit, The Pop Goes to the Banjo, you look on some of the walls, and John has donated, in perpetuity, I hear. John is a collector of cartoon art with banjos on it. So all those cartoon arts you see in there, they got a special name. What do they call those? Cells? Yeah, cells. Those are all originals, and they were all done and used for those cartoons back in the day. So it's pretty neat to see those. Yeah, you can clap for John. He doesn't have a lot of friends, so this is nice. Well, that's pretty much all I got to say. I want to thank everybody for coming. I appreciate your support. Hopefully we can continue on your support and keep playing, and there's a lot more coming tonight. And back to Johnny Byer.
Okay, now to the real business of the evening. But before we do, we'd like to ask you guys, because you won't listen after this is all over, housekeeping. If you're going back to the hotel on the buses, please, there's 2 bus loads, meet out front, take the bus back to the hotel. It's quite simple. If you are a Hall of Fame member, past or present, or new Hall of Fame member, please join us out to get pictures after the ceremony, but before you get on the bus. Okay, is that clear? Good. Yeah, if you miss the bus, Uber's outside. Now, this is one of the most important things we do all year. We honor some of banjo's best, and tonight we've got a great class of 2025 American Banjo Museum Hall of Fame inductees. We're going to start with Dom Flemons. Dom is, he's known as the American Songster. He's been a friend of the museum for a long time, and if you've seen our new history exhibit, Dom is the narrator of it. He makes it real, and that's what we want to be. So if you've not had a chance to see or meet Dom Flemons, we're going to have a little video presentation. Dom is going to do a song for you, and then he's going to get a big trophy that he can use for a doorstop, and then he's going to speak. So that's the program for the next 12.37 minutes. Welcome, Dom Flemons. Before he came to public attention as a founding member of the Grammy Award-winning Carolina Chocolate Drops, Dom Flemons was already building a reputation that explored the cultural impacts of over a century of American music. A songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, producer, actor, music scholar, and historian, Flemons has long set himself apart by rediscovering forgotten folk songs and playing styles and making them live again. Raised in Phoenix, Arizona, Flemons got his start in music by playing percussion in the high school band. Taking up the guitar and harmonica in his teens, while his musical curiosity saw him through experiments with doo-wop, 50s rock and roll, and 60s pop music, it was the organic qualities and great stories associated with traditional folk music which became the young musician's passion. Curiously, although he embraced the music and had become a regular on the Arizona folk scene, Dom Flemons longed for a musical identity which would prevent him from being labeled as just another folk singer. A pivotal event occurred after Flemons moved to North Carolina. Having become active in the region's string band traditions, in 2005, Dom was invited to attend an event aimed at raising awareness of black string band music called the Black Banjo Gathering. Meeting kindred spirits Rhiannon Giddens and Justin Robinson, as a result of that event, the 3 musicians banded together in 2006 to form the Carolina Chocolate Drops. With each member singing and swapping between a plethora of folk instruments, the Carolina Chocolate Drops, with a repertoire consisting of African American music, country and classic blues, early jazz, string band numbers, African and Caribbean songs, and spoken word pieces, toured and recorded constantly, evolving into one of the most influential folk groups in history. In 2010, the Carolina Chocolate Drops won a Grammy Award for their CD, Genuine Negro Jig. However, as personnel changed when original members of the band began going their separate ways, the group stopped performing in 2014. The first to strike out on his own was Dom Flemons. who seamlessly transitioned into a solo career in which he carried a torch of awareness that many traditional American songs in fact originated from the musical and storytelling traditions of African Americans and Native Americans. Embracing the persona of the wandering songster musicians who traveled the American South and West during the 19th century, Flemons drew upon a century-old repertoire of folklore, ballads, and blues, and his identity as the American songster was born. In addition to performing at Carnegie Hall as well as the Grand Ole Opry, Flemons represented the United States at the 2017 Rainforest World Music Festival in Malaysia. Another milestone with his solo career came with the 2018 release of the Grammy-nominated Dom Flemons Presents Black Cowboys for Smithsonian Folkways Records. Honors, including his being named a U.S. Artist Fellow in 2020, as well as being awarded a Doctor of Humane Letters from his alma mater, Northern Arizona University, are a testament to his life's work, which has rescued a century of roots music, instruments, and performing styles from almost certain obscurity. As a resolute preservationist, storyteller, and instrumentalist, there may be no one alive who could teach us more about the vast sweep of traditional American music than Dom Flemons.
Your baby ain't sweet like mine, oh yes. Your baby ain't sweet like mine.
So please welcome to the stage 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Dom Flemons.
Honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And well, I'm going to play you a little number that I learned from a recording found in the Library of Congress after I attended the Black Banjo Gathering. I'll talk about all that in a little bit. I found this particular piece on an album called Altamont, and this is one called Po Black Sheep.
Sheep said, go to bed and get a little faster. Wake snake days breaking, peas and fine whole cakes baking. All I want from this creation, 3 weeks hooks, 5 vacations. Tail balls do just fine, daytime's his, nighttime's mine. Oh, Lammy, got a little lamb, call him Sammy. Lammy, got a little lamb, call him Sammy.
play your stuff, go ahead.
Yeah, Lemmy, got a little lamb, call him Sammy. Oh, Lemmy, got a little lamb, call him Sammy. All right, banjo, go ahead and kick in the high gear. A little bit more than that.
Wow. How many notes was that?
Just
Well-
4 and then some.
Four and then some, yeah. Well, a lot of you don't realize he's playing that on a 4-string banjo. That's not a 5-string. But on behalf of the American Banjo Museum, Board of Directors, past Hall of Fame members, and the staff of the American Banjo Museum, congratulations and welcome to the 2025 class of the Banjo Hall of Fame. And we got Polly. I'm taking it back.
Well, thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Doug. Everyone at the American Banjo Hall of Fame, friends, fellow banjo players, and my family, including my wife, Vania, my daughter, Cheyenne Love, and my mother-in-law, Allison, who were able to travel and join me on this momentous occasion. While it would be impossible for me to tell all of the stories that have guided me on my journey as a banjo player in the few minutes I have with you all now, I will do my best to relay a sense of what this prestigious honor placed upon me means to my role as a promoter of the banjo. I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona, and I began playing the 4-string banjo around 2002 as the result of a friend letting me borrow a banjo while he was off on a summer backpacking trip. My first time hearing banjo in person came before I ever thought to play the instrument, back around 1998 when I started playing the guitar. I'd attend the Phoenix Folk Festival at Encano Park and would find myself dazzled by the variety of banjo players that would attend every year, and that was 4-, 5-, and 6-string banjo players I ended up seeing. Then, of course, there were the many bluegrass banjo players that made up the Arizona Pickers and Grinners, who led big jams where all were invited. I joined in, listened, and jammed many late nights, which fueled my interest in taking up the banjo that fateful moment would bring when one landed upon my lap. On top of being a musician, I've always been an avid record collector. My main pride and joy in my collection are the LPs, and in many ways the records I have found over the years led me to the American Banjo Museum itself. I've always collected music as well as spoken word and stand-up comedy, so I was aware of the banjo playing of Steve Martin, Earl Scruggs, Pete Seeger, Gus Cannon, Elizabeth Cotton, Etta Baker, Papa Charlie Jackson, and Emmanuel Sales. And at and I became deeply immersed in the many facets of the banjo's recorded history. At one point or another, I had heard the theory that the banjo was nothing more than a drum with a stick on it, and I took that to heart. Having played percussion in school all the way up through high school, I became enamored with the endless possibilities the banjo could provide, using drum rudiments and juxtaposing them with the chords of a melody. Now, in 2005, I went to an event that would profoundly change the trajectory of my life and elevate me to the role of a professional musician and promoter of the banjo. Early that year, I was invited by a fellow banjoist, Sule Greg Wilson, to attend an academic conference that would be called the Black Banjo Gathering at Appalachian State University in Boone, North Carolina. While I had been aware that the banjo was a part of the African American musical experience, the gathering was the first time I became aware of a new movement that was on the rise. This movement, spearheaded by the gathering, was the first effort by scholars and musicians, black and white, to bring to the forefront the African, Caribbean, and African American roots of the banjo, displaying it for the wider world to see and discover. It contained many strange and disturbing parts of American history, yet it also was a shining example of the power of the instrument and its perseverance over the course of 4 centuries to remain America's favorite instrument. Now imagine, starting from such humble means as a banjo player busking on the hot streets of Phoenix, Arizona, to then fueling a new movement of black roots music with the Carolina Chocolate Drops, and then also on my own as a soloist, I was thrilled, and I am still passionate to continue the work of spreading the deep roots of the banjo out into the world. An old friend of mine, the late Victor Lucas, once told me, "Dom, you give dead men voices again." And when I found the opportunity to become a part of the music industry, I made a point to have a career that served 2 purposes. One was to make the best music possible, music that I could be satisfied to hear as a fan myself. And the other was to expand the scholarship of the American roots music that I love. It is a humbling experience to be recognized for the ways I have tried to entertain and educate people every step of the way. I first came to this museum as a visitor, just like everyone else, and now I walk away from this podium as a proud member of the Hall of Fame. 20 years after the Black Banjo Gathering, I stand before you all as the 4th African-American member of the Hall of Fame, and the first to focus on American roots music specifically. I follow behind Johnny St. Cyr, Elmer Snowden, and my good friend Don Vappy. Also, I want to mention that I may be the first inductee with both Mexican-American and indigenous ancestry on my mother's side. Even though my parents couldn't join me in this celebration, I know that they are proud and that I'm here with you all tonight. And before I accept this award, I want to give just a shout out to all the other inductees in the class of 2025, and it's a major honor to join you all in this unforgettable evening. Thank you again.
Vinnie Mondello is someone that many of us know. He is a guy who, behind this country boy, aw shucks, well, I cleaned that up a little bit, demeanor, has been a major force in the banjo world by both creating new instruments and bringing old instruments to life, but also looking at the players who bring instruments to him. And by the way, he's got half of the state of Texas with him tonight. How many of you are with Vinnie Mondello? Make some noise. They're over there. He's got a great family representation, but he also has a lot of banjo players who love the fact that, in addition to the fact he does beautiful work, he takes their needs into consideration with every job. That means a lot. He just did a job for me. I sent him a basket case, and I got back a musical instrument. That's a pretty strong recommendation. So if you're not familiar with all the work and his life, please welcome Vinnie Mondello through this little video, and then watch him shake as he comes up to the stage. If there was ever a person who was destined to work in the banjo business, it is Vinnie Mondello. Although successful in avoiding following his father's footsteps of becoming a professional musician, Mondello ultimately could not escape the inevitability that it was in the cards for him to become a key figure in the world of the banjo. As only the most recent addition to a generations-long line of Boston musicians sharing the Mondello surname, Vinnie's banjo course seemed set long before he was born. His father, Buster, as well as grandfather and great-uncle, were all professional musicians and craftsmen who were associated with iconic banjo and guitar manufacturers such as Thompson Odell, A.C. Fairbanks, Vega, and Stromberg. By the time Vinnie came upon the scene in 1957, his folks had settled down in Texarkana, Texas. Growing up in East Texas provided the young Mondello with plenty of opportunities to have fun, which included fishing, working on hot rods, and eating pizza while his father played banjo at the local Shakey's Pizza Parlor. Following high school, Mondello worked in the Texas oil fields where he excelled for years before going on to become a parts manager for the Ford Motor Company and eventually starting his own fiberglass repair business. The thought of becoming a banjo luthier would likely have never entered Vinnie's mind had it not been for finding a good deal at an Austin flea market in 1998. While perusing the offerings, he noticed an old tenor banjo. With the hopes of fixing it up enough to be playable and saleable, Mondello ended up purchasing the instrument and upon returning home, took to the internet to research the repairing of old banjos. The rest, as they say, is history. Utilizing mechanical skills from his oil field and hot rod repair days, combined with his experience in painting boats and auto body repair, Vinnie was able to refurbish the banjo and sell it for a hefty profit. Realizing his new business venture might both generate income as well as please his father by carrying on the family name in music, Mondello began to determine the best way to market his newfound specialized skills. While other luthiers worked out of music stores and workshops, Vinnie became a pioneer in the use of fledgling internet technology to market himself, creating a virtual banjo workshop accessible to a worldwide audience. When the word spread, Mondello's Banjo Haven became one of the most widely visited banjo-related websites on the internet. Knowing it would also be wise to be more than a virtual presence, Mondello connected with local banjo players and clubs who, through their positive word of mouth, endorsed his work to a far-reaching banjo community. His attendance at banjo festivals and events around the country further solidified Vinnie's reputation for excellence while giving everyone, from beginning players to top professionals, an opportunity to meet the man behind the screen. Going to festivals also gave Vinnie the opportunity to interact with and learn from a who's who of banjo luthiers. Among them was the legendary Dale Small, who took a liking to Vinnie, eventually sharing with him many of his own trade secrets. This mentor friendship ultimately led to Dale coordinating a collaboration between Mondello and the supremely gifted artist and engraver Ron Raymer. With an "if they can think of it, we can find a way to build it" attitude, the Mondello-Raymer partnership resulted in numerous custom-built Mondello Accutone instruments, each of which established new standards in banjo tone, playability, and decorative appeal. One of the many qualities that make Vinnie Mondello so beloved within the banjo community is his passion for helping customers achieve their goals regardless of budget, time constraint, or skill level. He treats each customer equally, respectfully, and fairly, an attribute which contributes to his continued success and customer loyalty. While banjo repairing and building certainly were not in his life strategy, apparently his Mondello genes had other plans, and the banjo community remains eternally grateful.
All right. Well, I'm going to play a tune that I know is one of his favorites on his personal Mondello banjo. So I know I wouldn't be here today without him. So without further ado, 1 and 2.
Come on up here, Vinny. And just so you know, that song comes installed on every Mondello banjo. Come on up here. I know. On behalf of the American Banjo Museum, the Board of Directors, the employees and staff, and the past Hall of Fame members, we welcome you to the 2025 class of the American Banjo Museum Hall of Fame. Stand here and look out there. I'll take it. You'll just-
No pressure here. When Johnny called me and told me that this was going to be my year to be inducted, I said, "Do I have to do a speech?" And he said, "God, we hope not." So we're going to do one anyway. Good evening, everybody. I want to start by saying how grateful I am to be here and to be surrounded by so many people who have played a part in this journey. I'm truly humbled by my experience and will hold on to this moment for the rest of my life. Secondly, I want to thank the people who saw fit to induct me into the Banjo Hall of Fame. That honor means more to me than words can express, and I carry it with deep gratitude and pride. All of the people who have done such a fantastic job at the American Banjo Museum, thank you. You took on the task of giving us a glimpse into the world of banjo, and in doing so, you brought us all together tonight. To my mentors, thank you for being the voices of wisdom who challenged me, encouraged me, and believed in me even when I was still figuring things out. Your skill sets and abilities many times allowed me to have my work look better than it could have possibly looked on my own. I stand on all of your shoulders tonight. To my friends and family, thank you for standing behind me through the long hours, the highs and the lows, the challenges. To my daughters, Christina, Meredith, and Erica, and my grandkids, Silas, Miles, Micah, and Lincoln, you're the greatest joy and my proudest legacy. Your love and support have been a light through every chapter of my life. Thank you for always hanging out in the shop with me and for making those moments special. Your support has meant everything to me. To those here tonight, to the rest of you who have supported me along the way, and to those watching from heaven, you are all a part of my family history, and I will carry it with me always. To my wife, Karen, who put up with the dust, the smell, the constant mood swings, just know that I wouldn't have made it without you and your ability to navigate in stormy weather. Your patience, strength, and love have been my anchor. To my customers, you are the heartbeat of everything. When I look around, I see more than colleagues and partners. I see a community, and it's a community that makes everything I've done meaningful. Some of you may remember back in the 1990s when I started the web page, as Johnny said, you know, it wasn't polished or fancy. Guess what? It's still not. So all I wanted to do was simply show the work, honestly and transparently, the trials and tribulations I went through in banjo repair. I wanted people to not just see the finished product, but the process, the challenges, and the lessons learned along the way. My passion has always been finding innovative tricks to bring modern repair methods and materials into a world that didn't exist, while showing alternative approaches along with the traditional ones. That journey, sharing, teaching, sometimes stumbling, but always staying true, is what made tonight so meaningful for me. This Hall of Fame induction isn't just about the work I've done, but about the people who came along for the ride and who learned with me, encouraged me, and who helped me build this community. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you to the American Banjo Museum, my mentors, my friends, my family, and my wife, Karen, and my customers. This is as much your award as it is mine, and I will carry this moment with me always. Thank you and good evening. Thank you.
Great job. Congratulations, Vinny. That wasn't so tough, was it? Oh, yeah, it was. One of the things about the Hall of Fame is that sometimes we're honoring people that have come long before us. And while it is so wonderful to have the inductees right here in this room, we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge some of the folks who can't be here tonight. One of the historical figures that has played such a role in where the banjo lives today was a man named Fred Van Epps. Fred Van Epps was a musical legacy during his time. His family carried on that musical legacy, and tonight you're going to hear some of the music that Fred Van Epps created on a Van Epps banjo. But we hope you will enjoy looking back to where we came from a name many of you maybe have never heard of before, but I think if you watch his story, you'll realize why Fred Van Epps was a very important part of banjo history. So let's learn a little bit about Fred Van Epps. Although not the first classic five-string banjo soloist, Fred Van Epps remains arguably the most impactful artist of the genre. Through his masterful musicianship, captured on thousands of recordings, along with engineering innovations which reimagined both banjo construction as well as sound recording techniques, Fred Van Epps was a Renaissance banjo man who was perfectly suited to both his time and his instrument. Born in Somerville, New Jersey in 1878, Frederick Fletcher Van Epps began his classical music training on the violin at the age of 7. By his early teens, Van Epps had become enamored with popular music as was being played on the banjo by his inspiration, Wes Osman. With the singular objective of learning to play the banjo like Osman, Van Epps made the extravagant purchase of an Edison cylinder phonograph and through repetition and persistence ultimately learned each of Wes Osman's recorded solo. After leaving school at 15 to train with his father as a watchmaker and jeweler, in 1897, Van Epps disappointed his dad by accepting a job with the Thomas Edison Studios as a staff musician. Often recording dozens of cylinders in a day, as recording technology of the day would only allow a small number of cylinders to be recorded simultaneously, Van Epps mastered the discipline necessary to play his solos exactly the same way over and over again. So advanced was his skill that Van Epps was even called upon to recreate and record the solos of Wes Osman when Edison's stock of the latter artist's recordings was running low. Yet it was the name Fred Van Epps which would ultimately overshadow that of Osman, who by the 19-teens was already slowing down. Between 1897 and 1926, Van Epps, the new accepted king of the banjo, made truly countless records for various labels such as Edison, Victor, Pathé, Columbia, Emerson, OK, and many others. As a soloist, leader of popular small groups, or fronting a full orchestra, his eclectic repertoire of light classics mixed with popular and novelty tunes of the day propelled Fred Van Epps to national stardom. Frustrated with the way his banjo sounded on the relatively primitive recording equipment of the day, Van Epps' innate engineering sensibilities guided him through the creation of a new banjo design which would not only maximize the instrument's ability to be heard, but enhance its tone and dynamic range as well. Pleased with the result, which incorporated a parabolic resonator as well as sound-releasing hole in the center of the head, in 1921, Van Epps partnered with Henry Burr to manufacture the Van Epps recording banjo in Plainfield, New Jersey. As the guitar began to eclipse the banjo in the 1930s, seeing that his music was falling out of favor, Van Epps seamlessly transitioned from banjo star to the role of inventor. His patented devices designed to improve both the sound and stability of early disc recordings became a standard of the industry, making Van Epps a wealthy man. Another contribution to the music industry came in the form of his family. While each of his 4 sons became active as professional musicians, it was guitarist George Van Epps who carried on the family's name and reputation for musical excellence to the next several generations. As the banjo was enjoying a resurgence of popularity in the post-World War II nostalgia boom in the 1950s, Fred Van Epps returned to the recording studio for the first time in 23 years to recreate some of his own iconic solos in high fidelity. Spending the remainder of his days as an appreciated elder statesman and reminder of a unique time in banjo history, Fred Van Epps passed away in November of 1960, just hours after passing his driver's test. In his final interview, Van Epps quipped that he'd rather wear out than rust out, with an unmatched body of work resulting in contributions which continue to inspire banjo players and enthusiasts to the present day. The legacy of Fred Van Epps remains both fresh and decidedly rust-free. There aren't many guarantees that I can make to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but I will say that I can guarantee that Fred Van Epps' acceptance speech will be the shortest of the evening. As Mr. Van Epps cannot be with us tonight, we would like to welcome in his absence his music and one of the Van Epps banjos and one of our Hall of Fame members, Debbie Schreier. Please, Debbie, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. I will be playing my dad's Van Epps Gary Epi banjo, and it's very interesting. It's a nylon-strung classic 5-string banjo. I'll be playing with my bare fingertips, and I'll be playing a Fred Van Epps arrangement of Grace and Beauty Rag.
Beautifully done, Debbie. Thank you for recreating that music here tonight so that people could see that Fred Van Epps lives among us. Thank you, Deb. Now, we're going to move on to one more of our living Hall of Fame members. Shawnee, where are you? I forget. Oh, there he is. Oh, I should have looked for the boutonniere, the only guy with a boutonniere in the place. For the, for the second year in a row, we are welcoming someone from overseas into the four-string banjo performance category. That's pretty special when you think of the fact that the music that is usually associated with the United States migrated, in this case, to England and eventually Germany, back to England. He moves all wherever the work is, believe me, folks. But and last year, Ken Aoki in Japan, they were all inspired by the instrument and the music we love so well. And we are so happy that it's taken a whole lifetime of journeyman's work. That's the only way to describe it. This guy has followed the path of a professional musician, used the banjo to do it, and we are happy to honor him for that lifetime of work. If you haven't met Sean Moises, please view the video, then you'll get a chance to see him play. Let's see what happens. Although living decades away from the music he loves and a world away from his major sources of inspiration, Sean Moises has lived a life devoted to music and the banjo. Admittedly born with an old soul, Moises is one of the few contemporary four-string banjoists in the world who are bridging the gap between the banjo's glorious past and its modern-day identity. Born in England in 1964, Sean Moises' first encounter with the banjo took place 11 years later. Obsessed with the look and sound of the instrument, Sean soon obtained a banjo ukulele and, inspired by British music hall star George Formby, used the diminutive instrument to great effect as part of the Moises family band. In addition to teaming with his sister Haley to win the Sir Alex Alexander Jr. Star Trophy in 1978, the following year, Sean's family band performed for over 5,000 people at the Peterborough Country Music Festival and began appearing on BBC television as well. A fateful milestone in Sean's musical development was inspired by seeing a plectrum banjo used as part of the vintage Hot Orchestra. That experience, coupled with the gift of an Eddie Peabody LP record, which in his words knocked him out, set Sean on the musical course which has served him well for over half a century. After forming his first band, the Symphonic Hot Five in 1980, Moises spent the next decade paying his dues while performing in a spectrum of musical genres from jazz to country to bluegrass to pop. Yet it was the plectrum banjo, Eddie Peabody, and early jazz which had the young musician's complete attention. Determined to make his living in music, in 1990, Sean Moises joined the Pasadena Roof Orchestra, spending the following year touring Germany, England, France, and the Netherlands with that group, prior to joining the Spike Jones-inspired Bob Kerr Whoopee Band the following year. However, after 5 years of touring and 15,000 maniac renditions of Cocktails for Two, Sean decided it was time to move to Germany to further his musical career. Already established as a European jazz band banjoist extraordinaire, the decade after Sean's move to Germany saw him emerge as a banjo soloist and entertainer as well. In addition to performing with his own bands, including the Ragtime 2 and the Hot Rhythm Boys, Moises was featured on European television as part of the Paul Harrison Band, as well as being a featured soloist along with Buddy Walter and Peter Banjo Meyer at Hamburg's Karstadt Culture Program. While band work and European touring, most notably with Rod Mason's Hot Five, continued, Sean's solo identity was growing thanks to the release of his first CD, It's Banjo Time, along with multiple guest soloist appearances at banjo events in Europe, England, Japan, and the United States. More CDs were to follow, and by the mid-2000s, Sean Moises was known around the world as one of Europe's finest banjo soloists and entertainers. However, a stellar reputation did not pay the bill. As Germany's jazz opportunities dwindled, Moises, now married with a 3-month-old child, faced the decision of either getting a day job or sticking with the musical profession he loved. Choosing the latter, Sean moved his young family back to England, where he found the greatest success he's known as a solo entertainer. Known as the Banjo Man, he currently performs almost daily for senior audiences at retirement homes and private events, relishing in the joy he can bring to audiences who both know his music and enjoy his professional and charming presentation. From his first ukulele strums as part of a family band to his present-day one-man show, Sean Moises has stood the course of a journeyman professional musician who, even after 50 years in the business, remains grateful for every performance opportunity and every warm smile he is able to bring to his audience.
Good evening.
Some of these days, gonna miss me, honey. Some of these days, gonna be so lonely. Gonna miss my hugging, gonna miss my kissing. Gonna miss me, honey, when I was rust. Gonna be so lonely, so for me only. You know, honey, gonna have your way. When you meet me, boy, gonna greet me. Gonna miss your little old banjo pick I sung these days.
And that song comes with a Norbert Peach banjo. Norbert's a Hall of Fame maker out of Germany. Well, he was inducted when, last year? A couple years ago, yeah. So, Sean, it's a real joy and a pleasure. On behalf of the American Banjo Museum Board of Directors, the staff at the American Banjo Museum, all the past Hall of Fame members, I'd like to present you the Hall of Fame Award for 2025.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Thanks for your lovely words and the great video. Thank you very much indeed. I wrote out just a little few words here. Hope you don't mind me referring to my notes here. So it certainly is the greatest musical honor to receive this award, and I'd like to thank my friends and family who've supported me along the way. Also the American banjo community who for the last 20 years have welcomed me so warmly into the fold here. A special also mention to my banjo sponsor and fellow Hall of Fame inductee, Norbert Peach, who provided me with these beautiful instruments to play along the way that I certainly couldn't afford to pay for. Playing the banjo has been an absolute privilege, and I've been doing it all my life. But like every job, it's not been without its challenges. But I still absolutely love playing the banjo. In the words of the inspirational Eddie Peabody, it's still fun, fun, fun. So accepting this award represents a 50-year banjo journey for me, and the camaraderie, good times, and the musical bond with my fellow banjo players and audience. So I'd humbly like to thank you all. Wish you and the fellow inductees this evening a wonderful night of pure friendship. Thank you very much.
When the American Banjo Museum started back in Guthrie, back in the olden days, it was not called the American Banjo Museum. It was the National, it's a long title. We had to get bigger business cards in those days just to fit it on. It was the National Four-String Banjo Hall of Fame Museum. And it was specifically dedicated to all the jazz banjo players of the tenor and plectrum things like Sean plays. But as you're all aware, there's a lot bigger banjo community out there. And one of the greatest phone calls I ever received was from Jack Canine, the founder of the American Banjo Museum. The reason that everything that you see tonight in the museum and all the stuff we're able to do, the reason it exists is because of Jack Canine. Jack was a four-string banjo player, four-string banjo fan, but he realized if we were going to fulfill our mission, we had to embrace the entire banjo community. So back in, I believe, 2013, it was Jack's phone call that says, Johnny, we got to get some five-string players in there. And that's pretty bad Jack impersonation. I'm sorry, but best I could do. The gist is, or the point is, it was Jack's idea, even though he loved the four-string banjo player, that we broaden our scope and embrace the entire banjo community. And in the years since 2014, we have made great strides in the worldwide banjo community by not giving lip service, but giving actual recognition to all types of banjo players. Now, the five-string banjo, to many four-string banjo players, it only means bluegrass. Bluegrass is wonderful, but there's all styles of banjo, five-string banjo playing. You know, your claw hammer, your old time, what Debbie did with the classic five-string banjo. And then there are people who take it to another level. They take all these styles, all the different players who have influenced them, and create something new, exciting, very modern, and very banjo. Noam Pikelny is one of those artists. So you, if you haven't, again, met Noam, please meet him through this video. and then you will get a chance to meet the man himself. But for right now, let's say hi to Noam on the video, and then I'm going to make him come out here. I see you peeking back there, and you're going to see some incredible musicianship applied to the banjo. Enjoy. Recognized as a preeminent banjoist of the current generation, Noam Pikelny is of that rare breed of musical artists who, while striving for elusive perfection, achieve creative excellence, virtuosity, and innovation in the process. While firmly rooted in the traditions and playing styles of his predecessors, Pikelny continues to redefine the role of the banjo in bluegrass while routinely establishing new standards in both playing skills and musicality within the genre. Born in Chicago in 1981 and raised in nearby Skokie, Noam Pikelny started playing the banjo when he was 8 years old. After beginning with lessons at Chicago's Old Town School of Music, Pikelny moved on to serious banjo studies with Greg Cahill of the Chicago-based bluegrass band The Special Consensus. A national audience began taking notice of Noam during his tenure with the progressive bluegrass band Leftover Salmon, followed by 2 years with the John Cohen Band, appearing on the band's new Tattoo CD. Yet it was the collaboration which was to follow which would bring Noam Pikelny his greatest national attention to date. At the Telluride Bluegrass Festival in 2006, Noam and mandolin maverick Chris Thiele had a fateful meeting which would ultimately result in the creation of a new band called Punch Brothers. Consistently pushing the envelope of progressive acoustic music, Punch Brothers' wide-ranging and relentlessly imaginative repertoire resulted in constant touring, along with a succession of recording projects, which was capped by the band winning a Grammy Award for their All Ashore album in 2019. Never an exercise in musical impersonation, as a solo recording artist, Noam Pikelny has an impressive body of work which illustrates his ever-evolving musical growth and diverse artistic passions. Following a solo recording hiatus after 2004's In the Maze, in 2011, Noam was nominated for a Grammy Award for his next project, Beat the Devil and Carry a Rail. 3 years later, his landmark Noam Pikelny Plays Kenny Baker Plays Bill Monroe project not only garnered another Grammy nomination and the IBMA Album of the Year honors, but established a new paradigm for bluegrass banjo playing as well. While his previous solo projects were actually band affairs, which revealed Pikelny's skill as a band leader, arranger, and accompanist, in 2017 he produced his first truly solo project entitled Universal Favorite. Recorded live in the studio without any accompaniment, Universal Favorite presents an unadorned yet flawlessly musical program which transparently captures Pikelny's singular approach to playing the banjo, while admittedly an assimilated style capturing bits and pieces from every player and musical influence in his life. The result is a very personal sonority and playing style which far exceeds the sum of its parts. Inspired by the Bluegrass Album Band, founded by Tony Rice and J.D. Crowe in the 1980s, in 2023, Pikelny joined forces with members of Leftover Salmon, Punch Brothers, and Watch House to form a new bluegrass supergroup called Mighty Poplar. With both spirit and spontaneity, members of Mighty Poplar, all known for their progressive approach to bluegrass, collectively return to their traditional roots to celebrate the music which they hold so dear. While Pekelny is the recipient of many honors, including the first ever Steve Martin Prize for Excellence in Banjo and Bluegrass in 2010, he remains unaffected, singularly focused on creating new, interesting, and exciting music which simultaneously embraces and challenges tradition. And at less than 50 years of age, for Noam Pekelny, it is a virtual certainty that the best is yet to come. And with that, please welcome to the stage 2025 inductee, Noam Pekelny.
I feel like I just learned a whole lot about myself from that video. Well done.
Noam, on behalf of the American Banjo Museum Board of Directors, past Hall of Fame members, and the staff, welcome to the 2025 class of the Banjo Hall of Fame.
Good evening, folks. This is such an incredible event, and it's a night that's just filled with total honor and pride and confusion for me. Really, because somehow I got it in my head over the last 8 months or so from when they announced who was going to be inducted this year. I somehow got it in my head that each inductee, as part of this honor, had the opportunity to go down to the museum and pick out any banjo for themselves and take it home and become its permanent owner. But I've heard no mention of that here today. I've scoured the literature, was looking for some fine print. I think I must have just dreamt it. And so tonight is filled with triumph, but also heartbreak. I was eyeing that original 5-string Vega Vox 3. And I realized I'm going to be going home with the Vega Vox 0. But I'll get over it. I'll get over it. This was a complete surprise when I got word of this, not just to me, but to everybody who knows me, to my friends and family. Everyone just, it's incredible how it really takes an award like getting inducted into the Hall of Fame for people to get back in touch and just send you a text. It's like, you could just check in on me, but now they have an excuse. And so people were just coming out of the woodwork from left and right, and everyone had a similar expression, was that, wow, this is a real honor, but no, I'm getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. Does that make you feel old? And I thought about it for a second, and I said, well, you need to know that one of the other inductees was born in 1878. So why don't you ask Fred Van Epps if he feels old for getting inducted into the Hall of Fame? No, I don't feel old. I feel honored, and I think it's, I'm so aware of the efforts that this organization has made over the last decade or so to open doors and welcome 5-string players into this organization, and that is, I don't take that for granted, and I think specifically for that reason, this is even a higher honor for me. I always felt like there was this weird, invisible line of demarcation between 5-string players and 4-string players, tenor or plectrum, as if like we were speaking a completely different language and that there was no shared bond other than the fact that we had, a stretched piece of $10 plastic, across our $10,000 instrument. But there's this, it's all music, and I feel like there is a brotherhood to the banjo that goes beyond whether you're wearing picks or not, or whether there's 4 strings on your instrument or 5 strings on your instrument. I love this community, and I think for me, the music has always been something that inspired me. As a little kid, when I first decided to learn the banjo, I was bitten by the musical bug, the banjo bug. But it wasn't, it didn't become a passion of mine until I met the members of the community. It was going to the festivals, going to the workshops, the group classes, that it felt like it finally had like a sense of place, and I found my people. And that at that moment, it was that's what kind of sealed the deal for me to really commit my life to a life of music and the banjo, is that I want to kind of live and breathe this music 24/7, but I also want this community to kind of be my community, not just for a weekend during the summer, not just for a workshop. This is who I want to be around myself, and maybe one day around my family. And so I think that is something that I think is really important about this museum. Obviously, this is an incredible collection of instruments, but it's so much more than that. You can put a bunch of fancy, rare, or expensive instruments in a glass case, and people will be wowed for a second, and then they'll, go home, and that will be it. But this museum, it tells a story. It tells a story of the music, and from a bird's eye view, I think kind of tells the story this country and American culture, and it's an opportunity to build community. And I think that's why this honor is really important to me. Is I see it as an extension of this living arts museum that has the opportunity to inspire young kids across the country and across the world. I was lucky enough that my parents, bent over backwards to bring me to the Old Town School of Folk Music, to bring me to festivals. This museum can be that focal point for families local and far and beyond. It can be that inspiration for a little kid to start playing their instrument. And I think, as everyone's kind of alluding to the next chapters of this museum, like what comes next, there is a need to bring in younger people, and there's no better way to do that, in my opinion, than for this to be a living art. And what is like a better case, example of living art than hearing Tyler Jackson play the tenor banjo? Like, that is, to me, is astonishing. And we've gotten to jam before, but I've never gotten to hear you play. And I just think of the possibilities of people from around the world coming and not just seeing instruments, fancy instruments behind a glass case, but getting to hear someone like Tyler play, or even pick up one of these instruments and try something and then go home and take lessons. That's how this community will still exist, and not just exist, that's how it will thrive and grow. And so my hat's off to Johnny, Tyler, everyone here at the museum for doing this work to cultivate a community and to foster growth around banjo, whether it's 4-string, 5-string, finger picks, no finger picks. It's really important work, and to get this call and to get this nod means the world to me. I should say that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for collaboration with my bandmates and Punch Brothers. That 20-plus year collaboration really helped inform my musical voice, and I don't think I'd be standing on stage if it wasn't for my bandmates in that band. And then to my teachers over the years, Mark Dvorak, Gus Friedlander, and then the guys who I would put in more of a mentor/hero category of Greg Cahill, Craig Smith, Tony Furtado, Bela Fleck, and Tony Trischka. There's such an incredible generosity of spirit and knowledge and time within this community, and I will strive to do the same for the next generation. My gratitude to my wife, Caitlin, for putting up with a musician who's gone 40% of the year. We have 2 young boys. It's not easy to do this. I couldn't pull it off if I didn't feel like I had one of the most amazing people in the world taking care of our boys while I'm on the road. I see the glimmer of musical interest in my 5-year-old and in my 1-year-old right now, and that kind of inspires me to actually keep doing exactly what I'm doing, because I want to set an example for them that when you find something you love and you're passionate about, you need to run towards it and give it its due. And so this, I feel like, is a nod that that makes me feel like I've given it its due, and I will continue to do that. I would be remiss if I didn't thank my parents, who were incredible supporters of music. They opened every door for me, and my father, who was my partner in crime for, from age 8 until the minute I got my driver's license. He was my partner in crime and went to every single festival, workshop, took me everywhere. Sleep deprivation didn't matter, missing work didn't matter. He made all the sacrifices to make that work. He passed away nearly exactly a year ago, and nobody would be more proud than Irv Pikelny tonight, so I'm going to dedicate this to his memory and to all the other parents out there who are doing whatever they can to just pave that way for their kids who are in love with music. So thank you for this, and I look forward to being back next time. Can I get inducted again next year? Oh, it's a one-time thing. I have a whole mantle. I could fit like 5 of these things. Thank you, guys.
Beautifully said, Noam. You express the sentiment that we all feel. We love the banjo. We love you all. Now, before you scatter, once again, Hall of Fame members, past and new Hall of Fame members, please join us on the red carpet for photos before you leave. And for the rest of you, the bus outside. Get on it, go to the hotel, change clothes, go to the museum, jam till midnight, then go back to the hotel because we want a big day tomorrow for the Banjo Bash down in Bricktown. So thank you for being here on behalf of the American Banjo Museum, Board of Directors and staff. Good night, everybody. Be safe wherever you're going and be kind.